What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Hello, Scott.
Oh, man, we are already fast-forwarding through the week. In my mind, it's already Friday.
Not quite, dude. It's only Tuesday, and it's a good day today because Respawn has 3 new Star Wars titles in development. Rumors arise of an Xbox franchise getting a remaster. Raven Software strikes comes to an end, and news on Battlefield 2042 going free to play.
Ooh, a bit of good news in there.
We'll see how that one goes. Scott, everybody can be joining us live over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. If you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, you ready to get going, buddy?
Yeah, I'm excited about this first topic here because it sounds like good news to me.
Dude, it never fails. This is what gets me with this industry. We were done this morning. Once again, setup, docs ready to go, assets, everything ready. And then EA drops this into my email and says, upcoming titles include next game in the Star Wars Jedi franchise, a new Star Wars FPS is in the works, and a strategy game via publishing collaboration between Respawn and Bit Reactor. That is a... We'll get into this strategy one. I'm curious about that one. Dude, an FPS in Star Wars. Like, there's a lot going on right now in the world of Star Wars.
Yeah, well, and I'm happy to get it into the hands of a new developer because I think, just like the extended universe, they should be allowed to bring on as much Star Wars content as possible. Somebody will make really good ones, somebody won't, but I'm hoping this one's going to be good.
We'll see. EA and Lucasfilm Games are joining forces to continue delivering all new world-class gaming experiences set within the beloved Star Wars galaxy. Respawn Entertainment, best known for their work on Apex, Titanfall, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, is leading development and production of these new projects. Vincent Zampella, Group GM and founder of Respawn, will oversee these new this new phase of EA's relationship with Lucasfilm, building on Respawn's award-winning history in game development and expertise in telling compelling Star Wars stories. Game director Stig Asmussen and his team over at the studio are already working on the next game in the action-adventure Star Wars Jedi series. Scott, series. Did you catch that one? Because I did, which means we might be getting even a third one out of this. We all expected to see a sequel coming off of Jedi Fallen Order 1, because, dude, that one... It was a long time coming to get this game.
That knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. That game was solid. I have a little bit of worry, though, because I've seen Respawn go too deep into a series and back out before. Titanfall 3.
I was going to say. Yeah.
You know, it might be another 10 years before that happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Leading the development, Respawn's all-new Star Wars first-person shooter game is Peter Hirschman, game director at Respawn, who has a long and accomplished history with the Star Wars franchise. The third title is a Star Wars strategy game developed through a production collaboration with a newly formed studio, Bit Reactor. Helmed by games industry veteran Greg Forst, Respawn will produce the new Star Wars strategy game while Bit Reactor leads on the development of the new title. Quote, "We are excited to continue working with the superbly talented developers at Respawn." This comes from Douglas O'Reilly, VP of Lucasfilm Games. "They have demonstrated excellence in telling epic Star Wars stories along in best-in-class gameplay across different genres, and we are looking forward to bringing more amazing experiences to the galaxy far, far away." Dude, that's all. It's just got to be there, doesn't it?
Oh man, I'm excited for that. That's it shows some sort of enthusiasm working with Respawn because they have proven themselves, and yeah, I agree with that.
Working with Lucasfilm Games on a new FPS in the Star Wars galaxy is a dream come true for me, as this is a story I have always wanted to tell, end quote. This comes from Peter Hirschman, game director over at Respawn. Dude, what do you expect out of a first-person shooter in the Star Wars universe?
Well, I'm wondering if they're gonna pull it back into the games that we saw in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
some of that Dark Forces kind of similar project, but it could be something completely brand new, and that kind of makes me wonder, when are they gonna insert that into the timeline? Is that gonna be in the new the sequel saga? Will it be the prequel saga? I feel like they're probably done with the prequels, but a lot of questions come to mind.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, Star Wars is such a huge IP, and we've seen it not get taken well in previous years. It hasn't gone very well over at EA, for that matter. We've seen 1313 just vanish and disappear. Dude, please just bring that game back. Like, where's that one? Bring it because that one looked incredible. We all wanted it, and all of a sudden it just vanished. That is one title I'm definitely missing. It is not a first-person shooter, though. It was a third-person perspective, and I was looking forward to that one. We are huge fans of Star Wars here at Respawn, and we're thrilled to work with Lucasfilm Games on new titles that we have wanted to make for years. That comes from Vince Zampella. If you want to make great Star Wars games, you should come join us on our journey. Dude, that tells me right there, this is in very early development because they are looking for help. So, I think there's two things we can take away from this. Jedi Fallen Order 2 has probably been in development shortly after the release of Jedi Fallen Order 1. I think that one's already well in development at this phase. You figure they probably got halfway to 3/4 of the way through the first one and then started with ideas and brainstorming and getting ready for the sequel. This one takes off. It absolutely explodes. Yeah.
Commercially, I think it was shown to be viable. At least from what I understand, I think it sold a lot. So that definitely cemented the series, like they say. But series, a third game, also is exciting because, well, I just want more of Fallen Order, really. That game was great.
Dude, I had such a blast playing this game. It felt like a Star Wars like no other from before, right? I think that was the biggest stepping stone for the game. Because no one played a Star Wars like this. At least I haven't. So it was nice to get into this role. Almost of like it's been often referred to like a Dark Souls light experience, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping for the next one to be much harder. But
dude, don't count me out then, because I want to be able to play it too. That's the thing, right? It had some moments I'm like, man, this is pretty tough, and then all of a sudden you get through it, very satisfying, very rewarding, and then you get into some of the gameplay mechanics, the force powers. Like, it was just such a cool game. Very excited to see where they can take this sequel. What do you want out of the sequel, Scott?
Well, I would like a little bit more of a customization. I look at the gameplay playing out right now, and I'm thinking, what if they got together and made a new KOTOR? How intense would that be? Would that be a little bit too big in scope? Perhaps. But just the idea of, I don't want Cal Kestis to be wielding blasters.
Sure.
But if there was the option to do that, maybe that would make a really fun playthrough. More RPG elements, I suppose.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely customization is always a big thing for me, right? Like, you could customize some of Cal's gear, but let's really dive into that, right? Let's really hash that one out.
Changing the color.
Yeah. I want more feedback too. I want more of a background on Cal and what's kind of going on in his whole story. A little bit more deeper than what we did in the previous one, I think, too, would be nice. Dude, that's actually a fantastic game. KOTOR is coming. They are actually working on a remake from the ground up for that game. So that is coming somewhere, I don't know, it's 5 years from now, probably, somewhere in around there. But we'll see what else we get in 5 years, as there's another Xbox franchise is getting a remastered collection. This comes from Ben Carey over, oh man, oh, there it is, Pure Xbox. I'm like, I had it in here. I'm sorry. Okay. It's been a number of years since we got Halo, the Master Chief Collection. It was quite a unique bundle. As missions and maps could be interchanged, it will, well, when it was fixed at least. Since then, there's been all sorts of talk about Gears of War Collection, and a new rumor points towards something similar coming. This week's Xbox Era podcast discussed a new rumor surrounding the Master Chief Collection style. Collection being developed by another Xbox franchise. One of the show hosts, Nick, didn't name the series, but said he's been told it's in the works and could release this or next year. Here's the timestamp. Details are incredibly light here, so take it with a grain of salt. Scott, biggest thing for me, dude, is Fable. I think Fable makes a lot of sense. We're getting into the new Fable game from, of all studios, Playground Games, which it doesn't really seem like, dude, that seems like a weird fit for me. But it's hopefully going to work. And I think to get everybody caught up to speed, here's an opportunity to bring that back. We've seen Fable get Anniversary Edition and this, that, and the other remakes to kind of carry it over, but not a true from the ground up remake. Is that something you're looking forward to? Or would you think it'd be a whole other franchise altogether?
Well, that would go really well, Fable, especially with their release plan, because, like you said, get everybody kind of pumped up on the story and then put it back. But I'm not sure if the new Fable really wants to tie into the pre-existing universe, or if it's going to do its own thing. I'm not certain yet. So
Sure.
I'm thinking in terms of Gears of War. That would be a really big one, and I think it would make a lot of sense when compared to the Halo Master Chief Collection because there's 5 Gears of War games, Gears Tactics as well.
Oh, Gears
You
Tactics
could,
is so good.
I believe there is a remaster of the first Gears of War. Um, you could continue on with that remaster, make a 2 perhaps, and then put it in the bundle,
Right.
just the same way they did with Halo.
Yeah,
And
they
I
could.
don't think the Gears franchise is done yet.
No, they're definitely not done. I finished Gears 5. I'll tell you, they're not
Yeah,
finished.
don't tell me, but
Yeah, dude, if you haven't finished that, what are you doing? Go finish that game. But yeah, they're far from finished. That's the thing, right? I think there's definitely more to come for Gears. And the thing for me is Gears is already a thing. What's not a thing is Fable anymore, right? Like when you
Mhm.
talked about Xbox back in the day, it was Fable. Like it was Fable and it was Halo. And those two franchises kind of carried the name and on their shoulders for a long time as the Xbox go-to games, right? I think that was the
Oh yeah,
biggest thing. If you were a PlayStation fan, you still knew what Fable was, right? Like you still heard of Fable, and you're like, man, there's a game I'm missing out because I'm over here on PlayStation. The biggest part is Scott. That game's been gone for years, right? It's been real dormant for a very very long time. They're now working on, I think, essentially building this brand new franchise of Fable and where we'll see the future of that go. I don't think you probably get little nods and tidbits of things to previous titles, but it's not going to tie in. I can't see it tying in. This is now a new generation. We're on to a different audience at this time as well. So to get people maybe caught up a little bit to speed or familiar with what Fable is all about, you don't want to really treat it as a new IP because it's not. It's a standout title or standout name within Xbox. So maybe grow that. Where Gears is still going, like you say, Gears Tactics, right? That just dropped 2 years ago.
there's
Gears
still
5.
the
So
Gears One remaster is available on Xbox One. So thinking of Fable, the last time it was released was on 360.
yeah,
So there would be more of an incentive to kind of repackage it for 2 generations now,
yeah,
past what it was. What
yeah.
about that other Fable side game? Do you
Oh,
think that's ever going to make a comeback?
no, Fable Legends is gone. Nobody even wants to talk about that game. That was an unfortunate adventure that just never panned out. I won't get
No,
into it. I've talked that one to
that's
death.
too bad.
So, but let's not. Was not. I got nothing. I got no transition at all, dude. I was going somewhere and I blanked out. Raven Software strike ends following successful unionization vote. Didn't see that one coming. This one's John Carson over at Game Informer. It's been a busy week for Activision Blizzard Studios, but even more so for the workers at Raven Software, quality assurance members of the studio who have been on strike for several weeks following the termination of employment of contracted workers have decided to cease striking following a successful vote for unionization on Friday. The decision to end the strike came on Saturday from the A Better ABK Twitter account saying, quote, pending the recognition of the union, the Raven QA strike has ended. Unused strike funds are being stored for future organization / strike efforts. End quote.
Hmm.
I'm glad to see that they got things somewhat sorted out. The union, man, when you bring up a union, Scott, and this is the first within our industry to actually take fold, you get a lot of perspectives on, is a union good, is a union bad. That is not what I want to get into here. I just wanted to
Yeah.
let everybody aware of, at least these employees are kind of getting things sorted out. But a contract ends when a contract ends, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Your contract is up. A lot of things happen over at Activision Blizzard. A lot of things behind the scenes that we don't know about, and
Yeah.
it's just I
There's
just want to see people land
probably
on
a
their
lot
feet.
of there's probably a lot of wrongs to right, and that's what we're seeing
Ooh,
now.
yes,
Having these people collected and organized to get that done, well, that's maybe one of their only options, other than to walk
maybe.
away. But that doesn't seem right either. This is a lot of things are coming out in the laundry now that
Yeah.
this
Oh man.
company has all exchanged hands. So hopefully this is just part of the cleaning up and get everybody back on track and doing what they're hopefully passionate about still.
Hopefully, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Let's get everybody back in a comfortable spot where they're able to take their livelihood and be proud of what's going on and not go to work being, crap, nervous. What's going to happen today? Sort of, that situation, right? So hopefully
Yeah.
everything's sorted out over there. The biggest thing that's not sorted out, though, Scott, is Battlefield 2042 free to play could be Portal mode only. This comes from Matt Cook over at Game Regs. Battlefield 2042 has had a tough time. Dude, that is an understatement, Scott. To say the least.
No, I keep going around to take another look at it, and
Sure.
to be honest, it is getting a little bit better. It's not what I was excited for, but it does work. It's a pretty decent game, so it's making me think, well, why go free to play?
Well, the thing is, according to reputable leaker Tom Henderson, EA is potentially, quote, potentially looking at making Portal free to play in some capacity, end quote. Dude, it's not the game, it's Portal. Just the ability to go in and make levels. That's
the Portal at the moment seems to be its leading edge because
Sure.
the main product didn't really land very well. But this is like a way they've run a lot of Battlefield through the ages, so you can go and play a lot of the 1942 levels, a lot of the Battlefield 3 levels. Battlefield 1 is still inexplicably missing, but I guess the technology change would have been a little too rough. Battlefield 1 versus 2042 is a little unfair.
That's fair.
However,
However,
that has horses.
Tom Anderson also continues. He says, however, he stresses that the situation is changing on a daily basis at EA. According to Henderson, it is believed at EA that Battlefield 2042's Portal mode will be the best option because of its mode that is most likely to get people to purchase the full version of the game. He said that Hazard Zone, the other big mode in the game, is struggling with players and has, at times, just a few hundred players. EA has been struggling to fix the issues that gamers have with Battlefield 2042.
Well, if they put that free to play, at least then it's a little bit more of what you'd expect from other kind of battle royale. That's a little bit reductive to speak of it like that, but that going free to play would make a lot of sense to me. Whereas the Portal is just kind of, I'm not sure I understand. They're going through a bunch of events, but I've seen one be canceled already. That zombies mode, man, I was so excited to get into that, and it was just not there. I think it lasted less than one day.
I'm so confused by Battlefield 2042 right now. It just doesn't make any sense how it came out this way at all. And then here's the thing, Scott. The big purchase, right, was Activision. Microsoft swept in, picked up Activision. They have Call of Duty. If Battlefield was good, maybe PlayStation could have struck a deal up with EA and had it only on PlayStation, right? Maybe that could have been an answer there. But Battlefield's not even a potential prospect right now to even look at because it's just a disaster. If the game modes only have a couple hundred people, like this game isn't going to survive. It blows my mind
just how bad it is.
Exactly. It blows my mind how much of a bumbling step forward this was for the franchise. And it just, man, EA is one of the biggest companies around. I'm going to say one of the biggest third-party publishers now this time.
We'll see how long that lasts for. But it just totally boggles the mind because I think if this was their first RPG, if this was DICE's first attempt at an RPG, okay, I'd be a lot more forgiving. But DICE has made Battlefield for 100 years. Like, how do you drop the ball? I just don't get it.
I don't get it either, and that's the biggest thing, right? Like you say, it's the franchise that's been well known for so long. So how can you just drop it flat on its face? It's just, man, that's unfortunate. But let's move on to what's going on in the world of Square Enix because we're almost running out of time once again. Square Enix 2022 preview list Outriders expansion, not Marvel's Avengers. Comes from Paul Tassi over at Forbes. Square Enix just published a lengthy blog post laying out its plans for 2022. And before you freak out, no, despite the quote New Year's resolution end quote, post from the president, there are no blockchain games or NFTs to be found. The post goes through a large number of titles getting new content or new releases. There's Babylon's Fall, Life is Strange Remastered, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, Forspoken, dude, I can't wait for that one, Ocean. There's also Outriders World Slayer expansion, that looks fantastic, my take on it, which was announced last year and should be a sizable addition to the game. Here's what the blog post had to say. Quote, Outriders won a lot of fans last year thanks to our crunchy combat, super flexible skill system, and compelling loot. Late last year, the game got even better with the massive New Horizon update, which improved the endgame, loot drops, and customization system. But we know that fans want new content, and that's exactly what's coming in 2022. The World Slayer expansion will take you to the furthest reaches of Enoch, where new stories, new challenges, and new threats await, end quote. Dude, I'm excited. The biggest thing here, there is no speak whatsoever of Marvel's Avengers. What does the future of that game look like?
Oh, and I think that's one of the standout titles for you. You keep returning back to it from what I've heard, but
Trying.
it's unfortunate that they're not supporting it, seemingly not supporting it. But I'm also curious about this NFT mention, because NFT with Marvel, you think that would be one of the bigger ones, but
yeah,
is that just tied up in licensing? Nobody is allowed to own any part of it except for Stanley. But
I don't know. Dude, I'm baffled. Like, what's the future hold then for Marvel's Avengers? Marvel's Avengers should have been an easy one. Honestly, it really should have been an easy take. But when the president comes out and says maybe Crystal Dynamics wasn't the right studio to take this on, that's not a good sign either, right? We had that conversation a couple months back, and it's unfortunate.
Tank stock shares.
Oh man, the thing is, Crystal Dynamics can tell a story. Dude, that single player campaign of Marvel's Avengers is fantastic. It was a standout, and it felt like I was playing a Marvel's Avengers movie. It was incredible. Then you get into the endgame content, or the lack of, and that's where your problem lies. Then they launch War of Wakanda. Fantastic. They give us new superheroes. They drop Spider-Man. Drop the ball with Spider-Man.
Oh, man. That was a letdown.
Well, exactly, right? There's so many aspects here. I thought, this should have been a huge success. And to me, the more I look at Avengers, the more I feel like it's like Anthem.
Oh, that hurts.
Oh, dude,
a bunch of excitement that just doesn't pan out. But do you have a suggestion for what characters to add after Spider-Man? I mean, where do you go from there?
Dude, you just had the biggest one of all time, and it didn't take off the way it should have. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. I know I've talked to some people at Square, and that's their go-to right now is actually Spider-Man. And I was like, man, that's not for me. It didn't really click. It just, there's rumors talk about She-Hulk coming. But man, like you have such a plethora of a library of characters to choose from. And
I'm thinking
pull in X-Men. Dude, they gotta pull in the X-Men somehow.
Oh, that would be a perfect one. That's even better than my awful idea of Marvel versus DC chapter, where it introduces a DC character to fight, but that wouldn't make much sense.
No. Scott, we have 2 releases for today. What do we have, my friend?
We have El Hijo, a Wild West tale. That is on iOS and Android.
We reviewed that over on Stadia.
Yes, or one very similar. Was that a Wild West tale?
Yep. It was this exact game. Yep, it was over on Stadia. We actually checked that one out.
Oh, on mobile. That's interesting to see how that'll go over. But the Artful Escape is also on the Switch, the PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 today.
And there we go. That is going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube, Inside the Game Official. If you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Inside the Game.